Well, greetings this morning, kids. It's once again time for that celestial chatter. Now, what could he mean by celestial chatter? Story time. I think that is the key, and what is story time? Story time, you glance around, you see, who's present? Who are the characters that want to, step onto the stage? Make a pronouncement, if you will. Well, one character, and this is, it may seem off the cuff, and I appreciate off the cuff being an Aquarian, and that is the Beatles. You say you want a revolution. Well, we all want to change the world. Boom, 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 boom. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Don't you know it's gonna be alright, alright, alright. Well, that's enough music to start this thing out. We don't want to leave out the process that's going on in our political thing, but we don't want to delve into it too much, though there are cost factors entailed in that dance that we're all being affected no matter where on the planet we are. Let's take a look. When I look at the chart for now, well, for this week coming up, this is Sunday, and on Sunday we have what is called a Cassimi, which means that a planet is in the heart of the sun. The sun is, among other things, it's the king or queen. It's regality. And when a planet comes within that 1 degree zone of space occupied by the sun says, welcome. How would you like to sit on my throne? And while you're there, I give you permission to, make some dictates. Yeah, that term dictate kind of reminds you of dictator. There are a few of those generally, semi-savory characters on planet Earth doing whatever they're doing in the countries that they happen to have control over. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole too far. But Mercury, how we think, how we speak, is being engaged on this Sunday to say, what have I been thinking about? And what might I say in this moment that is going to carry weight because the king has given me permission? Well, this week, we'll go to this week. Starts on Monday. As this week begins, on the 10th, happy birthday to Jackie, my wife, I say, well, the thing that is forming is I've been watching this sun-moon dance. And then when we go to the 11th, we're getting there. On this day, the sun is going to move its usual 12 to 13 degrees during that day, 24-hour period, which means that early on as the 11th becomes the 12th, the moon is going to cross 23 and 24 degrees of Leo, which is a full moon. And full moon is like maximum reflected light coming back from that solar impetus that was initiated at the new moon back there in Aquarius. What was the new moon? Do, 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 do. 10 degrees Aquarius. Pretty close to where my sun was when I was born. This is a unique signature. I got a sneeze trying to work its way through. Forget the sneeze. The signature that's happening as the moon moves into that full moon place across from the sun will be exactly T-square this Uranus down here in Taurus. So, on with our story. Who is this Uranus character? Everybody says, oh, it's a shake, rattle, and roll kind of a thing. It's revolution, Have you ever wondered why? I always ask that. Why does this particular character, Uranus in this case, get that, get those qualities that everybody tunes into without, looking at the underlying principle of what this character really is about? Yeah, Uranus can shake things up. Yeah, Uranus can be involved in a revolutionary kind of experience. But there's a reason for it. Uranus also can be referred to as Prometheus, the bringer of fire from the gods, which was an expensive process for Prometheus because the gods were not happy with the fact that he stole fire from them and brought the fire to humanity. Back to the why. The reason for why things are often shaken asunder, if you will, by this Uranian energy is that Prometheus had this vision to awaken humanity, brought the fire to enlighten their perspective of things that they weren't quite aware of. That is what Uranus does. The reason for the shaking is to, perhaps tip us a little off kilter so that we aren't seeing the same things in the same way that we used to see them. And perhaps, a light may come on and we recognize something that we did not see before that was always there. The Pluto light comes on. What do I expose, says Pluto there in Aquarius. Aquarius, we're still in the season of Aquarius. Aquarius is community. Uranus has an affinity with the sign of Aquarius. And right now, particularly when we're looking at this full moon that happens on the 11th, 12th factors of this week, that T-square between the sun and the moon and Uranus, if we're paying attention, could awaken us to something that maybe had slipped past our consciousness somewhere along the way. But right now, the shaking and rattling and rolling comes in and says, hey, are you paying attention to this? The story unfolds. I told you, we're going into story time. The one other thing that happens this week that has some relevance is that Mercury, remember we were talking about the Cassimi that's happened on Sunday, by the end of the week, Yeah, by the end of the week. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. There it is. It's Friday, actually, the end of the week. Mercury moves into Pisces. When a planet shifts signs, it's like all of a sudden I have to take off this one hat, the Aquarian hat. What aspects of communication and camaraderie might the Aquarian thing have required that now I'm putting on a Piscean hat, says. So I'm thinking, Mercury, about a way to expand, if you will, the process of organizing. I'm using that very particularly because Mercury, ruler of Virgo, which is opposite from Pisces, those signs that are opposite from one another, they're always in play with one another. Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, Gemini as well, but the ruler of Virgo is in its opposite sign. It's saying, and Pisces is about the deepest, most profound level of awareness in the entire zodiac, asking us to, really dive deep into a level of oceanic awareness, if you will, of what does it mean to be alive. Can you sense in that there is a spiritual quotient that's at work? Because Pisces is that realm where, possibility of delusion comes in. Imagination with no limits. The creative capacity to think out of the box. What could the box mean? Could it be that, there are factors in play in this life dance that we're about that seem to want to be contained within certain parameters? Well, Pisces says, I don't care about those theoretical walls of containment that you are trying to, draw me into. There's an unlimited quality and quantity to the depth of awareness that Pisces brings into the equation that, with Mercury coming in there, is trying to say, is there an effective enough way to take this expanded level of awareness, possibly a spiritual awareness, and, bring it into a meaningful context? There's that Virgo side in there. That's all I'm going to do for the, our planetary characters, mainly. I'm going to go back to Aquarius, community. If you look at the chart, everything is moving on, all that stuff that we used to have in Aquarius, it's still 14th, it's still the Aquarius season. But everything's moving on into Pisces, except for our slow mover, Pluto. It would be an error to not include Pluto in our story. Pluto's a gatekeeper. Maybe you haven't thought about that before, but perhaps Pluto's orbit way out there at the edges of the Kuiper Belt might be considered the gatekeeper for all those goddess beings which are being discovered out beyond Pluto's orbit. And let's think about the tale of Pluto. Pluto had this thing for, in the myth story, for someone called Persephone. the daughter of Ceres, or Juno, if you will, and abducted her, took her into the underworld because Pluto rules the underworld. And what transpired? Persephone became a queen of the underworld. Not everything, when painted in black and white, picks up the nuances of what the story process can bring to us if we but delve just a wee bit below the surface, hey, we're talking Pluto here, as to what really was transpiring. Now, Pluto takes, about 250 years to make its trajectory around our sun. Well, 250 years that's a long dance, or a long song to dance to. And oftentimes when we look to see what's the story, and I look each week to see what's the story of the week. Well, the fast players, the sun and the moon and Mercury and Venus and Mars, these are all, active characters that, affect us on our daily lives. And oftentimes you get to Saturn, which is also a gatekeeper for everything beyond it. Well, there's an inclusion in that, Saturn to Mars realm of all these asteroids, which there are goddesses there too. Once you get beyond Saturn, you run into Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, and then you start to get into that thin Kuiper Belt zone where Pluto stands there and says, if you're interested in doing the dance with these Kuiper Belt characters, you have to come through my energy. Back to our 250-year consideration, I am going to oops, wrong button. I hit the wrong button. And got rid of my chart. Okay, that's okay. We can call up another chart. I want to call up this chart. This is Pluto 250 years ago. Last time Pluto was, look at that, entering Aquarius. You say you want a revolution. I said there would be no more songs, but I can't help it. What was going on 250 years ago? That's pretty darn close to 1776. I do seem to remember there was some revolutionary energy in the air around this particular time here and in France and other parts of the globe. Take Pluto. Pluto's function is to compost things, take them into the underworld, if you will, chew them up. And the important part that often gets forgotten is to regurgitate them. Bring up something from underneath the surface that we aren't aware of. Pluto in Aquarius has the capacity, if we're willing to take a longer look at the dance that it's doing right now through Aquarius about, what does it mean? What can it mean to be in community? With. Yeah, with each other, communing, really sharing in the energy of what it is we each bring into the equation. Yeah, I'm going to go back to our daily chart. So, Pluto, it's going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. About. As all the rest of the planets move on, they're going to leave Pluto, ensconced quite specifically in that zone of community, doing what Pluto does. Composting. What no longer is useful at a level that we're aware of, and transforming it into something rich, vibrant, and life generating. That is what compost does. It makes something that allows things to grow. So this Pluto in Aquarius for 20 years is going to be, stimulating, sometimes a little bit more directly than others, our understanding of what community can be or is, if you happen to be within a group context where people recognize the value that we each bring for one another to work within and without, but most specifically with each other in this adventure of how expansive can community become. That's all the time I have for story this week. We have a full moon that's coming. Mercury's going to shift into Pisces. These are just mechanics. These are the characters on the thing. And it was interesting as I was putting this all together. This movie that I ran across many years ago, Dante's Inferno. Random, seemingly random anywhere, characters doing absurd, bizarre kind of things. And the reason I suspect that particular storyline flitted through my consciousness is that watching the political theater that is going on right now I've got a map of the world spread out on the wall in front of me. From this one little dot down here, Washington, D.C. in the United States, and I'm looking at the size of the United States. It's about maybe the size of China, but China's a little bit bigger. Russia's 3 times that size. And from this one little dot here in Washington, D.C., there's a cadre of folks that seem to be wanting to, manipulate things around the entire globe in one fashion or another by what? Curtailing our involvement and our care for the rest of the globe? Something to contemplate there. There's something happening here. What it is, I ain't exactly clear, but you can feel it. There's something in the air. That's all I have for this week. Do enjoy the rest of this ongoing Aquarian season, because the week after next, the sun's going to enter Pisces. We're going to all be putting on a different hat. Our Aquarius part, which right now is being stimulated to, discover how is the community that I am a part of, or the many communities I am a part of, able to embrace effectively what it means to be with one another. That's essential. We all have that Aquarius part in it, and it is being stirred right now. 20 years Pluto's going to stir this in ways that I don't think are predictable. Pluto, there's a mystery always at work there. There are secrets to unveil. This is Plutonian territory. Keep your antenna up, folks. Whenever you find yourself, debating, preferably within yourself or maybe within a community setting, what secrets are afoot? What mysteries about the experience of being alive might be relevant to all of us as we go forward? Ciao for now. Ciao for now. That's it. I will see you all next week. I'm still down in Phoenix, so enjoying some delightful weather, hanging with some astro peeps, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Bye.